Hi guys! In this video, I'm going to show you how to simplify square roots, and it's very easy. So here we have the square root of 9. The way to solve it is you want to find the number that when multiplied by itself, it's going to give you 9. You know 1 times 1 will give you 1, 2 times 2 will give you 4, and 3 times 3 gives you 9, 4 times 4 gives you 16, and so on. So here we have 9, and we know the answer is 3, because 3 times 3 will give you 9. How about 36? Well, let's continue on. We have 5 times 5, that gives you 25, and 6 times 6 gives you 36. So the answer here is 6, and the square root of 4 is going to be the number 2. What is the square root of 64? 8 times 8 gives you 64, so the answer is 8. How about 25? You guessed it, it's going to be 5, because 5 times 5 gives you 25. How about 1? Well, 1 times 1 gives you 1, so the answer is 1. And 0 times 0 gives you 0, so the answer here is going to be 0. What is the square root of 8? Well, this one is a little bit more tricky, but before I solve it, I want to show you something. So if you have, let's say, the square root of 2 times the square root of 2, this will simply give you 2. And the square root of 3 times the square root of 3, this will give you 3. So if the number in the square root are the same, they will just give you the integer number. So 8 is equal to 4 times 2, and 4 is equal to 2 times 2. Now, 2 is equal to 2 times 1, right? 2 is 2 times 1. However, if you split the tree and you get a number 1, it means you should not split it. So 2 will just be like this. We will not draw more branches for it. Here is the same, and here's the same. So the square root of 8 is equal to what? It's going to be 2, the square root of 2 times the square root of 2 times the square root of 2. The square root of 2 times the square root of 2 is 2. And then we have 2 times the square root of 2. So that's the answer. You can also write it without using the dot in between. So if you write it like this, it is completely fine. What is the square root of 32? Well, 32 is equal to what? 8 times 4, right? And 4 is 2 times 2. Over here, 8 is equal to 4 times 2. And 4 is 2 times 2. The square root of 32 is equal to the square root of 2 times the square root of 2 times the square root of 2 times the square root of 2 and times the square root of 2. What would this give you? Well, we have a 2, we have another 2. So this would be 4 times the square root of 2. What is 2 times the square root of 16? The square root of 16 is 4, because 4 times 4 gives you 16. So we have 2 times 4, and 2 times 4 would be 8. What is 6 times the square root of 100? Well, the square root of 100 is 10, because 10 times 10 gives you 100. We have 6 times 10, and 6 times 10 is 60. Well, let's draw the tree for 225. So 225, you see the last number is 5, right? So you can divide by 5, and the other number here you get is 45. So 5 times 45 gives you 225. And 45 is equal to 5 times 9. And 9 is 3 times 3. So you get 20 times the square root of 5 times the square root of 5 times the square root of 3 and the square root of 3. This is equal to 20 times 5 times 3. 20 times 5 gives you 100, and 100 times 3 is 300. The square root of 54. Well, let's draw out the tree. So since 54 is an even number, you can divide it by 2. Over here, you will get 27. 27 is 3 times 9. And 9 is 3 times 3. So the square root of 54 is equal to the square root of 2 times the square root of 3 times the square root of 3 times the square root of 3. But instead of writing like this, I'll show you a quicker way. So you see 2 3's here, right? You just write out 3. You see 1 3, you will say the square root of 3. And you see 1 2, so the square root of 2. The square root of 3 times the square root of 2 gives you the square root of 6. Like this. What is the square root of 80? Oh, 80 is 8 times 10. And 8 is 4 times 2. And 4 is 2 times 2. 10 is going to be 2 times 5. So we see 2 2's. So that's just going to be a 2. We also see 2 2's over here, so that's a 2. Then we see 1 5, the square root of 5. So 2 times 2 gives you 4, and we have the square root of 5 over here. How about the square root of 300? Well, 300 is going to be equal to 30 times 10. And 30 is 15 times 2. 15 is 3 times 5. 10 is 2 times 5. We see 2 2's here, so that's a 2. We see 2 5's. That's a 5. We see 1 3. Square root of 3. And 2 times 5 gives you 10. And we have the square root of 3. Let me ask you one question. If we have 2 and the square root of 3, is the sign in between a multiplication sign or a plus sign? Well, the sign in between is a multiplication sign. If it is a plus sign, you will write it differently. You will write it as 2 plus the square root of 3. So what is the square root of 121? If you look at this table I provided for you, you can see that 121 is 11 times 11. So the square root of 121 is going to be 11. Now go ahead and copy down this table as it will help you in the future. Now, instead of writing the square root of 4, you can also write it as 4 to the power of 1 over 2. It means the same thing. So 4 to the power of 1 over 2 is equal to the square root of 4, and that's going to be equal to 2. 49 to the power of 1 over 2 is the same as the square root of 49. And what is the square root of 49? 7 times 7 gives you 49. So the square root of 49 is 7. How about the square root of 81? The square root of 81 is going to be 9. So that's it for today. If you guys have any questions, please let me know down in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit like, share with your classmates, and also the subscribe button.